Just wait till 7:05 and then we will start. Okay. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. How are you? Welcome to our Let's Talk. We are so excited to be with you today, and we are so excited about our guest speakers today. I would like to introduce, well, myself. I'm Sadaf Patel, and as everybody knows, I'm the Case Management Director at An-Nisa Hope Center. Today, we have with us two amazing women, and I would like to go ahead and introduce them. I am so happy to have Carvana Cloud with us. She is an attorney and deputy director of the Community Affairs Division for the Houston Police Department, where she establishes strategic partnerships with government, private, and community organizations to enhance transparency and trust between HPD and our diverse communities. Carvana began her legal career as a prosecutor with the Harris County District Attorney's Office and completed her most recent stint as an executive prosecutor serving at the Bureau of Chiefs of Special Victims, dedicated to enhancing victim safety and offender accountability in regards to domestic violence, sexual assault, child abuse, and human trafficking crimes. Carvana launched Community Empower Solutions, which is a social justice think tank designed to formulate solutions to support and empower underserved populations by creating policy and programming that reduces violence and streamlines access to the resources that individuals need to be safe and healthy in their respective communities. If that wasn't enough, in May 2020, Carvana founded the Empowered Survivor, a nonprofit designed to provide direct services to marginalized survivors who are actively fleeing domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. And I'm proud to say that they are our partners as well. She graduated from DePaul University with a BA in Spanish language and literature and earned a JD from South Texas College. Carvana, thank you so much for taking out time from your busy schedule. And I know you weren't feeling well, and still you came on and you are giving us the time whenever we need. We pick up the phone and we call you and you're always there. So thank you so much. And we have with us our beautiful Jihane Ghenim, our very own domestic violence caseworker. Jihane is originally from Algeria, a single mom of 3. She has an MBA in human resources and worked for oil companies as a market research and analyst, something that has nothing to do with the social work field. She speaks 4 languages, Arabic, French, Spanish, and English. But because of her passion about helping others, especially victims of domestic violence, she is one of the best advocates. And soon she's going to be enrolling in her MSW as well. So welcome, Jihane. Thank you so much for being here. Now, as we all know, there's a lot. Domestic violence is a huge topic, but today we're here to talk about the myths and realities, legal realities. So Jihane, I know that, you know, in your daily work, I would like to ask you, what are the different types of scenarios that you see that, you know, sort of you see all the time that you're like, oh my God, this is a myth, or how can somebody believe this, or what is going on here? Can you describe some situations, and then Carvana can shed light as to whether, you know, these situations are true, or what, you know, what the outcome is, or what she can suggest on, you know, what the reality of these situations are with a legal perspective. So go ahead, Jihane, tell us some stuff.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Sadaf, for organizing this talk. And thank you so much, Ms. Carvana, for being here, knowing that you were not feeling well. It's an honor having you here. As a native Arabic speaking, I am a caseworker manager. He's an An-Nisa, and most of my clients, I advocate for domestic violence victims in the community, in Arabic community. So most of my clients come from foreign country. They are women brought here in the US by their husbands with either a visa or a green card. Most of my clients...
Jihane, you're cutting off.
Wait. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
most of my clients are illiterate, have very limited English proficiency, have no knowledge whatsoever in basic things like what is a bank account or what is your social security number, basic things, how to apply for benefits, and their spouses deliberately isolate them and keep them in the dark when it comes to paperwork and account numbers, emails, and most of them don't even have access to finances like credit cards and so on. A couple of weeks ago, we had in our Let's Talk held by our director, Sadaf Patel, and our founder, Bibi Khan, and our director of mental health, Dr. Hamdan. We had the opportunity to talk about red flag and that determines an abusive relationship. Today, I'm hoping to talk about one specific red flag, which is the being threatened by your spouse of deportation. So I have many cases when the client comes terrified of being deported because she has an expired visa. So she is undocumented, or she has a 2-year conditional green card. And she lives in a very abusive relationship, and she's threatened by her spouse if she filed for divorce or report an abuse, then she will be deported. So we see that really often, and the spouses, being their principal sponsor, use and abuse this privilege to threaten them. So Carvana, please, I would like you to elaborate more about this. I believe it's just a myth and it's not
real.
How real
Are these threats, Carvana? How real are these threats of deportation that
Can you
come
be
from abusers
deported?
to instill this fear in the victims?
Yes.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that lovely introduction. And thank you, Jihane. I'm so proud to be on here with you. And thank you, just An-Nisa, for allowing us to come together and talk about these very real topics. You hear a lot about domestic violence is bad. You hear a lot about, unfortunately, the victims that are losing their lives in our communities. But you don't often have a platform to talk about, is this a myth? Is this a reality? And what do you do if you find yourself, or if victims find themselves in these situations? So let's talk. First, domestic violence is absolutely a reality. And the threats, particularly of deportation out of this country, are real. They are not myths at all. They're absolute realities. They go on in many families, and mainly families where you have immigrant families, or you have folks who were brought here against their will. As Jihane said, there are folks here who didn't ask to come here, and they find themselves in relationships and marriages, and they don't know anything about our great country of America or our amazing city of Houston. They're kept in the dark. They don't have their own IDs. They don't have access to phones where they can get information, even on the internet, where they can find help. And so the threats of deportation are real, because we have to remember domestic violence is about power and control.
Yes.
A lot of people say, well, he never hit me, or my partner never strangled me. It's so much about strangulation and all of these other things, but physically my partner's never touched me. People must understand that domestic violence comes in all forms: mental, emotional, social, and physical. And so if someone is keeping you enslaved in the home without access to the things you need to be healthy and happy, and they're talking down to you, or they're using bad language, and they're not letting you go out and see your friends or spend time with your family, that's an type of enslavement and abuse. And then if they add on top of it, and if you don't do what I say, I'm going to have you deported, you begin to believe
Yes.
that that is going.
You don't know any better.
You don't know any better. And so you start believing it. And so what do? You succumb and you allow that offender and that abuser to actually keep you in the dark like that. So it's very important that you all know that that's an absolute reality, that the threats go on and they happen. But the reality is there's a solution for that, right? There's a solution for that. You have amazing organizations like An-Nisa and others in this community who are about educating the communities, especially the immigrant community, the Muslim community, that those threats, you don't have to live with them as a reality. For example, there's a legal option called the U visa. The U visa is available to crime victims who have been impacted by domestic and sexual violence. If that is the case, and you are not legally here in this country, or you're an immigrant, you can apply for that U visa, and that protects your status and allows you to stay right here in this country. So many folks think, oh my God, I better not call the police, because if I call the police, they're gonna send me away also. So you got
the abuser makes them believe that. Yeah,
that's right. And the husband's saying it. The husband's making you think that the police are really gonna do it. And in all reality, if you pick up that phone and you call the police, you get hooked up with an organization like ours, and you really get help.
And Carvana, isn't it true that the police do not check your status when you call them? That is not even relevant in the situation?
That's absolutely correct. It's not relevant. You can call, all the police want to do is make sure that that threat in that moment has been erased and that you're safe. And the beautiful thing about,
even if the victim is undocumented.
Oh, absolutely, because it doesn't matter. Thank you. It does not matter. Thank you for bringing that up. Your legal status here does not matter. We just want to make sure you get help.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Um,
Can you talk about any other situations, Jihane?
Yeah, I have a specific case actually. It's one of our client. So basically, it's not threats, but she was taken back by her spouse to her country, Iraq, and it was under false pretenses, telling her that it's going to be vacation, an opportunity for her to visit her family, and leave her there and her kids, come back to the US and file for divorce without her, move on with his life, get married, and without even her knowledge, and disappear, basically, leave her in her country with the kids. So
what kind of legal rights does she have any rights, Carvana, or is there anything can be done for her?
Sure. And if they were to come into my office, one of the things that when I was practicing, you can't get a divorce in Texas without letting the other person know. Okay, so just starting from that basic principle.
Excellent point.
There is a process by which the spouse can file, but the other spouse has to sign a waiver saying, I'm not contesting this. Okay, I sign here. I agree. I want the divorce too. Unless that happened,
there's no divorce.
There is no divorce. And unless she was served with papers and she did not respond. Now, if she was served with papers and she didn't respond, the judge can give him a divorce for her failure to respond, but he has to prove that he actually served her. So I don't know in that case what happened. So without that, and without that consent signed, there is no divorce.
So can be like sending her an email to notify her. Could this be considered as serving the person?
No, that is insufficient service. Email is insufficient service in the state of Texas. He has to literally serve her by a certified registered server. And I'm not really sure if internationally how that would work. I'd have to research that. But I'm going to tell you, a lot of people have filed fraudulent consent forms. So if he has her signature, He's gonna say she can, I mean, I'm not saying in this case, I've said I've seen cases where.
We have too.
Oh, okay,
Seen
okay.
that. We've seen that because again, they are illiterate. They cannot read English, and some of them, they tell them, let's just, when you, the kids pass.
Or what about some of them? Oh, well, we're buying a house. Sign this, and it's a divorce paper.
Like yeah, we had the buying.
Oh, yeah.
I'm buying you a house. Let's go ahead and sign the documents.
Yeah.
And
That's
that was
awful.
yes.
That is, oh, that just really frustrates me. And unfortunately, it's happening. And in listening to you all, it's happening even more. I hadn't heard the buy the house one, but I've definitely seen the one trying to, they'll forge consent forms. Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Have you? So what I would do is I check the district clerk's site wherever they live, and actually see if an actual divorce decree was signed and entered by the court. Because if they haven't done that, that's just him talking and trying to scare her.
We do this, and unfortunately, it's there. It's I don't know how they do that, but it is horrible indeed. It is horrible.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
I'm gonna go ahead and talk about another case where, well, they originally, it's also in Iraq. I'm not doing the focus, but most of my clients are from Iraq. I'm not, but because this is real life cases. I'm not talking about, this is real people that I handle their cases. And so originally they've been married in Iraq, and they came here with a visa and then apply for a green card and in the US. So after 7 years of marriage, they had kids, and well, the abuse escalated, and the husband, the spouse, left the country and went back to Iraq, filed for divorce in Iraq, and telling her that since we get married in Iraq, so filing for divorce should be in Iraq and not in the US.
And then he's done. No child support, nothing.
Yes. So if the spouse goes back to their country and file for divorce, would this stand up in court here in the US? Because we've seen so many cases like that.
Husband files in Iraq. They were married in Iraq. He comes here with a green card. I mean, he comes with a visa, gets a green card, but so
they live here. They become residents here.
Okay. But then he leaves and goes back to Iraq. Does he give up his status here?
No.
His residency or?
No.
Okay, so he goes back to Iraq.
He just abandons his family.
Okay, but Iraq is the first place of jurisdiction. That's the original jurisdiction. So if you're married in Iraq, you can get divorced in Iraq. I don't know the rules about service and all that over there, but she didn't get married here, but she lives here. So she technically could file for divorce because she's a resident here who's been holding out and living as man and wife here. Now, the trick is she's gonna have to file or get somewhere to serve him. So he would know, but the question is, yes, she can file for divorce here.
And get the legal rights and get the rights that she deserves over here as community property.
That's absolutely right. She doesn't just have to deal with, we got divorced in Iraq. Nobody, you may have been married over there, but you're over here and your residence here and you've lived here. So she has every right to file for divorce here.
Excellent.
Regardless of if he did whatever he did in Iraq.
Excellent. So if he ever tries to come back, then they can do he can owe child support and they can do all of that.
Soon as he gets off that plane, I'd have somebody at the airport with service papers. He becomes served and immediately he now has to answer because who knows where he's going again. So I would listen, see what's going on, have the papers already written up. So, okay, he's coming in at 10, boom, serve him with papers right at the airport. And then they can go through the process. And in those papers, you need to let the judge know he's a flight risk, he's already left, he's abusive, put all of that in the divorce petition. So the judge can hurry up and know what she needs to do to try to make sure he doesn't skip town again. Does that make sense?
Yes, like do like emergency orders or.
Yes.
So red flag him out with the
Red
US.
flag him. He's got a protective order on him, so he can't travel, he can't leave, and then that will move that process along so she can get what she's rightfully entitled to.
Excellent.
Excellent. So one more case related to also to the immigration law. I have a client where in our religion, when you divorce your spouse verbally, you are considered as divorced. So she has 2 teenagers, and the husband literally abandoned them with nothing and left to his country and left her here, not divorced. So she couldn't file for divorce because there is no way to serve him, and she couldn't enforce child support because he's no longer in the US territory and nowhere to be found. So it's one of my first cases actually at An-Nisa Hope Center, and I'm very proud of her, what she became, because when she came to us, she couldn't talk any English. She didn't have a house. She didn't have a job. She was clueless about what is happening to her. So An-Nisa Hope Center, we provide her with all the resources that she needed and the support until she got to her feet. And now I'm very proud of her because she became a dental assistant. She is, I'm just emotional when
Excellent. No, you did a great job with her,
why
Jihane.
this is why I'm working for An-Nisa. She is independent financially. I mean, she doesn't even need help to for her rent. Her kids are thriving in school. They are enrolled in
Jihane?
our youth programs.
Yes.
It's amazing.
That's fantastic.
Still, she has this particular problem about the divorce. She's still not divorced to this dude who just left them, abandoned them, and remarry in his country and move on with his life. But she cannot have any child support, nothing.
Not only child support, if she wants to remarry, she doesn't have a proper divorce in her hand.
She's just verbally divorced, but on paper here in the US, she's still considered married to a ghost. Basically.
Wow. That's frustrating. First off, I can see the passion. Oh, I feel it. Thank you so much for doing all the.
No, I was telling Sadaf 30 minutes is not enough to talk about because I'm known in An-Nisa Hope Center. I barely can put boundaries with my client because I pick up the phone all the time, like anytime. I go on and I can't put boundaries because I'm there when they need me. And cases like that, successful stories, helps me a lot. Yeah.
And we need to talk about those more. We don't talk about the success stories more. We actually need to highlight those. Sadaf and Bibi, let's talk about how we can do that. Highlighting the success stories. That's very important.
We're gonna have another Let's Talk about success. So you just inspire us for the next Let's Talk.
So Carvana, please tell us, is there something she can do to get a divorce in hand? I mean, is there some sort of putting it in the paper or anything like that?
I mean, you can do that. I mean, there's ways to do that, but I mean, the reality is if he's not here or if he's not going to see it, it's going to be very difficult. I mean, if he's gone and ain't coming back, that's going to be really, really difficult. If he has, again, like the other person, like the other guy, any other reason to come back, we need to know what that is and try to prepare paperwork and all of that. But it's really hard.
In her case, we cannot even do a protective order. We try to help her because he's not here.
That's the problem. You have to serve someone, and notice in a newspaper that hardly exists anymore for a man who's not going to read it is, it's just really not realistic. Does she have what makes her married here? Her what? But she can't show a divorce decree no matter what. She can't even show a divorce decree from over there.
Yeah.
That's a tough.
I just want to reiterate that all the information that we are sharing has been changed and edited for client confidentiality purposes.
Yeah.
So it's not necessary. I just want to make sure that we all know that everything's been edited for confidentiality.
Yeah.
So
No,
yes,
I don't
please go
know.
ahead.
Every case sadly doesn't have an answer to it, and everything doesn't always have a solution that we like. And some of these are very hard, but I'm walking you through kind of the steps that lawyers have to take and the realistic challenges that we face.
Yeah.
Because there are
And
sometimes.
that's very important.
Absolutely.
Because you were saying that, I mean, what people don't understand and what they don't realize, they think, oh, you take something to the lawyer, you take something to the, to An-Nisa Hope Center, it's going to be solved, it's going to be taken care of. But there's a lot of things that we can't do, or the legal department can't do.
Yeah, the beautiful thing about An-Nisa, organizations like An-Nisa and organizations like the Empowered Survivor, are that we're going to at least bring you in, sit you down, and tell you the truth, right? We're going to tell you the truth. We're going to tell you your options, and we're going to try to help you find a plan B. If you don't come to us, you're going to be trying to navigate that alone. And that's what we don't want you to do. We want you to be able to come in, talk through things to people who look like you, people who understand your culture, people who speak the same language, who care about you and want to help you navigate it the best way. But no, we're not going to always have the answers you want to hear, but ultimately we're here to help you. We're here to help you.
Absolutely. There's some family law issues that we wanted to also talk about, Carvana, if we have a little more time. So let's quickly go through them. Jihane, you want to talk about another case? Of course, it's edited for confidentiality purposes.
Yes, so this is not related to immigration, but we have many cases like that. One of our clients, she's an amazing housewife. She has 4 kids, and she doesn't work. She has no income, and she's constantly threatened by her husband. She's living in an abusive relationship, and he's threatened her if she will file for divorce or leave him or seek help. Well, if she report him, yes, he will go in jail, but since she has no income, she cannot provide financial support to her kids. So CPS will take away her kids from her, and so this is very common. We hear stories like that. So is it real?
Or even not CPS, even just, you don't have an income, the kids will come to me because I'm the one who's providing the income,
Yeah. That's one of the main tools that offenders use in the power and control wheel, keeping money or access to financial security away from the victim so that they can't leave. It's really real. And like you just said, Sadaf, it's not even CPS, but I can't provide food and basic needs for you, my children. So the children are going to end up going to dad, and he knows that. So he can continue to abuse her, continue to mistreat her, but she can't go anywhere. She's trapped in like a financial prison because she can't do anything. One of the things we need to do is obviously the answer to that is we need to make sure that she has help her find access to income, like your client who ended up becoming a medical assistant. So how do we do that within our community, right? Mm-hmm. She may not have everything she needs or the educational assistance to go out and just start working at, the run-of-the-mill restaurant or place here in town. But what can we do within our communities within the greater Houston community to help her get some income? What does that look like? What does that look like as some type of monthly incentive for her to go to school and get the education she needs, and over a year's worth of time set her up so she can get income? I think we need to start thinking about solutions. Yes, we know that's a problem, but I don't think we do any of ourselves any good by coming back a year later and talking about it, because it's still going to be a problem if we don't fix it. And the answer is we need to create access for people to be able to earn money. A lot of these victims are female, and a lot of these female victims, even though they have children, want to work. Yeah. They're not lazy.
Absolutely.
They just don't have an opportunity. So we have to start thinking out of the box about what that looks like.
Yeah. And that's true. That's absolutely true. But also, isn't it true, when the judge sees that's not the factoring part as much, or is it the fact that she doesn't have income in terms of whether she gets child custody?
No. When he's looking at child, he or she is looking at child custody, they're looking at the ability of the parents, plural, to be able to provide a safe, supportive, loving environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his lawyer is going to argue, make no mistake about it, his lawyer is going to argue she has no money, she's unstable, she can't take care of him or the kids. So she's got to have a comeback for that. So she can say, well, no, I don't, but that's not going to look good for her. She's got to advocate, I don't, but I'm getting a job. Here are all the 5 places that I've gone to this week. I'm trying. I'm working with this company and we're da. Her simply showing that she's trying is better than she's just saying, I don't have any income. And that way her argument meets that other lawyer's argument, because if he's got a good lawyer, he's paid a lot of money, they're just going to argue her out of custody. It's not something that the judge should take into consideration. But I'm gonna be honest, it does come into consideration if you got a lawyer that knows how to use it against her.
Yeah.
That's why we gotta make sure our clients have superior legal advocacy who know how to play the game.
And that's the issue, because legal advocacy costs a lot of money.
Yes.
And those resources where it's pro bono, you and me both know that takes forever. You know, getting pro bono services, I mean, we do work with amazing organizations like AVDA and Lone Star, and they do a great job, but they just don't have the capacity to take everybody, and it takes a long time to get into them, get into their systems.
That's right.
And even the Empowered Survivor, we worked with you guys too with a lot of cases. You guys did a great job, but it's just getting those resources to pay for those lawyers. I mean, even it's hard for those organizations as well,
Very difficult. Capacity is definitely.
I have another case related to custody as well. And this client thought her spouse has undiagnosed mental health issues. So she filed for divorce as she was living in very abusive relationship. And but at that time, the father was good at the child. She wanted full custody. And she was determined that she would be granted full custody because she was a DV case and she had a police report. So after fierce legal battle, legal fees kept on piling up, and she had no proof of his mental health issues. She was never granted with full custody. So that is the harsh.
Can you speak to the reality of like getting full custody, how hard that is? Can you like shed some light on that, Carvana? Because you've been in that field and you've seen so many cases. How hard is it to get full custody versus primary custody or joint custody?
It's hard, okay? For full custody, let me just be very honest. Full custody, you almost have to make the other parent be so unsuitable that it's almost a danger, or it is a danger for that child or those children to be in the custody of that particular parent. So
and that's so hard to prove.
It is. Now, mental health records can be subpoenaed, doctors can be subpoenaed, witnesses can be subpoenaed, and in a civil proceeding. To talk about that, I know you said they didn't have the records, but that can be brought in. But again, that goes to the level of advocacy, that exists. But it's very, very hard to get full custody, even if you do have a lot of money and you are well off. Okay, that's a very hard thing to prove. Normally, people get joint custody, half and half, or they work out what works best for them. One's the primary, and then one is the one who gets the kids on the weekends, right?
There's no medical records either. What if there's no medical? A lot of especially our people don't get diagnosed because they don't go for mental health services. So they're never diagnosed. It's just hearsay. It's just the wife against the husband or the husband against the wife.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, that's really hard. That without any records or without CPS investigations or criminal histories or anything like that, that's going to be very, very difficult. I'm not going to say impossible, but virtually impossible.
Yeah. So I've heard that it can be the worst husband, but he still have the rights as a father. And
in Texas, especially.
That's true. Well, and that's unfortunately true. So other remedies might be, okay, he still has rights, but he can only visit at certain times. He can't get every other weekend. He can only get these many weekends, and he has to see them from this time to this time. He can't see them at places where alcohol's served. Then you start trying to pare it down the best you can. But if that happens, because it takes a lot to rip a parent's rights away in Texas.
Yeah, and yeah, that's true. Absolutely. One more thing I wanted to ask you, like this is sort of like the other side of the equation, right? Where we've had clients that have called the police on their spouse without any intention of leaving, but just because they want to scare them, right? But they don't realize once the police have been called, and if there's evidence of abuse, that person will be taken to jail and they cannot take their claim back. Can you speak to a little bit about that situation, like about people wanting to take the case back? And
yeah,
I actually have a case that was the spouse actually aggravated the situation, and she embellished her statement. She was pregnant, and she was extremely jealous, and she just wanted to scare her spouse. So she had no idea about the consequences when she called the cops. And since she was pregnant, he was charged with aggravated assault, a third-degree felony. Emergency protective order was issued. He was taken to jail, and obviously she regretted, and she couldn't believe it, what is happening, and she wanted to take the protective order back, and she couldn't.
Yeah, so that, okay, spit 10 years.
I think it's another Let's Talk also. The protective order.
No, seriously, that would not be a bad idea. And we can bring a friend of mine on, Judge Diane Kirby, Attorney Diane Kirby, actually, to help talk about that. But it is very hard to do that. All right, let's talk about criminal charges first, because she picked up the phone to call the police, right, to scare him. All right. Especially in Houston and in Harris County now, we have our law enforcement agencies are taking domestic violence very seriously. So if you call and their abuse is evident, somebody's going to jail that night. Long gone are the days, and thank God for that. A lot of us have worked very hard, decades almost, trying to make that be the reality now, right? So now when a cop comes, they're going to do a very thorough investigation, and if there is abuse evident or they believe you as the victim, he's going to jail. And what will happen is you can call the district attorney's office and say, I want to drop the charges, et cetera, but it is up to the state of Texas. Let me be clear. It is not up to that victim. I've had many victims very upset with me when I was a prosecutor. I said, ma'am, you cannot drop this case. Thank you so much for calling. I understand your concerns, but this matter is now within the hands of the state of Texas. And as a prosecutor, I would then evaluate it to see if I could prove that case, because a lot of times I'd have to prove it without her. Because if she doesn't want anything to do with it, she ain't coming. So if I don't have a lot of evidence, I may not be able to prove my case. But the DA's office and law enforcement take those very seriously. So people just can't drop the case. Now, a lot of those cases come with emergency protective orders. Those are in place for a reason, and they stay there, and they're not going to be, they won't expire until they expire. Okay. And so the 90-day protective orders are there, and until that period ends, that emergency protective order will not end. Now, the 2-year protective order is longer, and you have to go and apply for that. Most victims don't get that far. So, that victim needs to understand when she picks up that phone, trying to scare that husband or try to scare that partner, it sticks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That is extremely important information. We learned so much. Unfortunately, we are pretty much out of time. There's so much more we'd love to talk to you about, Carvana. And, you've been so amazing and giving us such wonderful information. Jihane, you do such a great job in your caseworking. We're so proud to have you at An-Nisa. Do you guys have any closing statements that you would like to make before we end the program? Carvana?
Sure. Again, I can't thank you enough for always bringing very important issues within the domestic violence movement to the front. An-Nisa has always been a leader. And when you talk about Black, Indigenous, and people of color organizations, we're so blessed to have An-Nisa on the front lines, on the battlefield with us, making the voices of survivors of color being heard as a priority.
Thank you for your
Domestic.
partnership.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. If you all need anything on behalf of the Houston Police Department, or if you need some support on the end from the Empowered Survivor, we are here to support you in that way. Sadaf, Bibi, Jihane, and everybody at An-Nisa, keep doing the hard work. It pays off, and every life you touch is one life that's served and saved. And so thank you for your work, and thank you for always giving me an amazing platform to speak from.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here.
A couple of minutes
yes, Jihane, go ahead and do your closing statement.
Very important. It's just that I would like to, give an advice to the community. Hopefully it would reach the right audience. It's just that God has given the man the privilege of power and authority. If this is to protect and to provide safety to the family. If this power is used to control and threaten, then it's considered as abuse. So same thing for women. I mean, we here at An-Nisa Hope Center educate, advocate, and provide support. So we do provide knowledge, and knowledge is power, but it shouldn't be used to threaten back or to be disrespectful or arrogant or make false statements. We have seen what happens for when you have a PO and it's you aggravate your statements. We have seen what so far. So this is also a kind of abuse. So work on your differences, work on your marriages. Here at An-Nisa Hope Center, we do provide couple counseling. If you have problem with your anger, there are out there classes of anger management. I mean, there are solutions to work things out. And of course, to end this, please, for victims out there, if you don't feel safe, if the abuse is imminent and there is no options to solve the situation but leave, then do not hesitate to call authorities, seek help, because your safety is what matters, and the safety of your children. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And as we've always said, An-Nisa Hope Center stands for healthy families. So that's what we always want to educate and advocate for. And we're so happy that you all joined us. Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies, for being here. You were amazing.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a great
Good night.
day. Good night. Good night.